Grand Poudier, you're watching Dirt Live.
Live. We're here now with Dan McMillin. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thank you, George.
So we got you next to your brother. Pretty cool.
Yep.
So kind of a little rivalry still?
Yeah, we're going to Prim this weekend, and I'm racing the old 1600 car. Haven't driven it in a year. Drove it last Thursday for the first time, and it's quite different than the trophy truck, that's for sure. So I'm excited to go race against Luke and 50 other guys, I believe, and have some fun.
Yeah, he's a former champion.
I know, I'm scared. He's gonna do really good. He won that race last year, I believe, and he's the guy to beat.
Well, you know, you went from, just like him, he went from the 16 into Class 1.
Yep.
You went from 16 to Class 1. Not very long, but what made you jump to the trophy truck?
Well, I started in 1600 back in 2002. Bought a Jimco two-seat car. We built it. Drove the entire 2000 and just pre-running it. My first race was in a FUD race down in Placer City in 2003, and then raced that until about 2008, 2009. And I remember the 2008 Dunaway Dash. My dad and I were going to just split the race, and he went half a lap and blew the transmission. So I got on the radio and said, hey, can I go race Laughlin in 3 weeks? He said, yeah, sure, that's fine. The car's ready to go. Just put a new transmission in it. Went to Laughlin, got third. It had a great race. Went to San Felipe, got third. 500 did well. Prim didn't finish there, but then went to the 1000 and got second behind Steve Appleton. And just started racing Class 1 and just kind of fell in my hands. And then wasn't in Class 1 very long. And then my dad, he told me long ago, about 4 years ago before this, that if I finished college, I could race the trophy truck with him. And I graduated finally after 5 years at San Diego State and started racing the trophy truck with my dad and Chuck Hovey as well. And we've done really well.
Now we talked, Luke earlier about starting out at age 5. So when did you start?
About 6 or 7, 8 years old. Same thing. Corky was down there. My grandpa bought us all these showy helmets and just put us in these dune buggies and said, pop the clutch and said, just go drive around for hours until you run out of gas. I'll find you. We were in a little fenced area at our campground in Gordon's Well, and that's what we did. We just started driving and going in the dunes with just the basics, the fundamentals of a clutch, and just started doing that at Gordon's Well. And then when I turned 15 years old, I was a freshman in high school, built the Class 1600 car from Jimco, and started pre-running with my dad, my uncle, and Andy and Corky, and kind of started racing the local stuff. So it kind of just started real basic, and now I'm racing trophy trucks.
We talked about Grandpa, what a great man, and definitely was a family guy, and the story is all about him, that if he was waiting in line with all the people that he worked with to go to the restroom, he wouldn't, just because it was his restroom,
oh, no.
He didn't jump in first guy in line.
No.
He waited in line like everybody else.
Oh yeah, he wasn't bashful. I mean, my dad is so much like Corky. They're just kind of hands-on guys. When we go pre-running, Corky would do two things. He'd make a sandwich and take his shirt off and start adjusting the car, making spring adjustments. I remember one point we had Foxes, Kings, and Bilsteins all on the one car because he couldn't decide what he wanted. So he was always thinking about the next step, and he was always hands-on. He loved the sport so much, and it showed with us grandkids. Putting us in dune buggies and supporting us, as well as Scott and Mark. So he loved the sport as much as anyone.
Now you've teamed up with Chuck Hovey, a pretty awesome driver. I mean, this guy can really drive.
He's a stud. He's a good driver. He's a great guy. He's a great driver, but he's a better person. He's a great guy to be around. He drove with me last year at the 250, the 500, and the 1000. And then for this year, I'm going to solo the 250 and the 500. Luke's going to race against me at the 500 and the Tisco truck, so I'm very excited about that with qualifying. And then the 1000, Chuck will come back with me. He's a great guy. He's a great asset to our team. He knows Baja just as well as anyone. He's got his own pre-runner, great team he's with, so he's a great guy.
Okay, brings a lot to the table. So you're talking about the rivalry here. So, we know about the 1600. I remember at Laughlin when, that Saturday when Luke won, and then you got mad and came out Sunday and beat him on Sunday. Was that pretty cool?
Well, I saw the picture of him like about that far off my bumper, off the leap, and then he bumped me and passed me, and I thought that little, So I started chasing him. He beat me that day by about, I think, 10 seconds, and I remember I started ahead of him the next day, and I just drove as hard as I could, and I ended up winning the day and the event, and I kind of rubbed it in his face, but me and him had such a great race, and then we go to Battle at Prim, and he just spanks me.
It didn't work out too good for him at Battle of Prim.
Yeah, somehow always put it on its side at that race, or have some silly issue. But yeah, we have a great time racing against each other. That's for sure.
So you started, like he talked about pre-running at 12. So when did you start pre-running?
About same age. 11, 12 race pre-running in the old Porsche cars. We used to have those, and Andy and I would pre-run of those, or Andy would pre-run Scott's old 8 truck. I would pre-run in the old Porsche cars when we were 10, 11, 12 years old. And then when I got the 1600 car, I started pre-running that, and then it kind of evolved into racing.
Now, when you're racing the trophy truck, you and your dad and Chuck, and you're racing against Scott and Andy, how is that? Is that pretty cool?
Yeah, it's neat. We're all under the McMillin roof, but it's 2 separate teams. I kind of think of it as like Hendrick Motorsports, but there's Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. There's 2 separate teams, but we're all under one roof. We're all one family, but it's very competitive, especially at the 1,000 last year. Andy started behind me, and I was doing my best to stay in front of him, and he's on my radio, and we're trying to, I'm trying to stay ahead of him. He's trying to pass me, so we had it's a logistic battle as well as on the race course. So we have a good time.
Now your dad, how does he separate the two of you? Your dad's working both sides, right? I mean, he's got to kind of help. He's helping Luke, and then he's helping you also on the radio. He's talking to both of you guys.
Yeah, he's flipping back and forth on channels, and just giving me splits and telling me what's going on. And he go to Luke's channel and tell him how he's doing. And he's just a great coach. He's a great motivator, and he loves the logistics part of racing. I think he loves that more than driving. Especially he's been having a lot of health issues, not health issues I should say, but just his neck's been bothering him. So he likes being on the sidelines, and he likes watching us. He likes bouncing back and forth, chasing, figuring out fuel stops, tire changes, and he just enjoys it. It's a lot less stress on him, and he does a good job at keeping us very level-headed. And we had to earn our way up into Class 1, into trophy truck, and we know the grassroots, so it makes it exciting.
Now, is there so basically, your dad was kind of really the big inspiration. Of course, your grandpa when you guys were younger, but your dad really kind of was there for you when you jumped from 16 to Class 1 and then into the trophy trucks.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My grandpa was a huge inspiration. Like I said, with the buggies down in Gordon's Well, pop the clutch and say, go drive, and just gave us that freedom just to go out and learn it ourselves and figure it out on our own. And as well as my dad and my Uncle Scott, huge inspiration to me. But also going down to Baja, when I was 8, 9 years old, 10 years old, going to the Baja 500, and you'd be sitting at the pit, and you would see the helicopter or the first truck coming, and if it's Robby Gordon, the Herps, Ivan Stewart, Dan Smith, or Dave Ashley. I mean, those kind of guys, the grassroots guys that I grew up with watching, was a huge inspiration. And just seeing the trophy truck and thinking, someday I'm going to be in a trophy truck. And now here I am in a trophy truck, and it's incredible. So there's so many people that I look up to and see that, like, wow, I remember him when I was growing up watching him race. And now I'm 25 years old racing a trophy truck. It's a dream.
Now, who did you, when you were that young, who was your big hero?
Probably my dad, honestly, because he's, I get to see 2 sides of him. I get to see him at home and on the racetrack. And I remember one time at a 500, I think back in 2001, the 500 when he overalled it. I remember at a pit, I ran up to the window. I remember saying something to him, and he kind of had this look in his eyes, like he was super serious. And I just kind of said, "Oh, this is the mark I haven't seen yet." And he ended up overall in that race. And he's got this passion that he loves this sport. It's a hobby for us, like many people. So, but he takes it very seriously, and I see that in him and in work, at home, and on the racetrack. So he's a huge inspiration. Yeah, morale.
Yeah, it really makes you see how he's raised you 2 guys. Now, you saw the film earlier, the video of Jessica. What do you think, her and Heidi coming after you guys?
I think it's great. I think it's awesome. They got a learning curve. I think I was testing down there last Thursday, and Heidi and Jessica were down there testing Andy's truck, just getting some seat time. And I remember Heidi walked up to me, she saying hi, and she had the baby. And she said, I just don't know what the next step is. I feel like I'm going good, but I don't know if this is what the pace I need to go. I said, well, hop in. I'll go give you a ride. I'll show you. I'll do our little test loop. And I think it really opened her eyes because, like anyone, it's a learning curve. But I think they're going to do really well. I didn't see them in the drawing, but I think they're in the back. So they're going to do well. I think they've got a learning curve, but they'll do very well.
With Danica, the big hype, from Daytona, maybe this is it. The girls are coming out to get everybody.
Yeah, it'd be something if 2 girls won the world championship. You know, that'd be pretty. You know, that'd make the guys pretty unhappy.
Yeah.
Make me unhappy.
Yeah. So, you know, we talked, you know, Luke talked about Coco's Corner and some of the areas down in Mexico. What's your favorite place down? You've been down there since 9 years old and a kid. So what's your favorite, you know?
Well, anywhere in Baja. Anytime I cross the border, I'm having a good time. San Felipe, anywhere. But one part I really enjoy is from between after San Ignacio to Loreto, going through those beach towns. And I have so many memories of going there and stopping for fish tacos with my grandpa and my dad and meeting the locals and just having a good time. So from that section, from San Ignacio to Loreto, Scorpion Bay area, that's so much fun. And then even after El Crucero to Bay of LA, it's very tight and technical, and it's kind of got a little bit of a speed factor, but yet you got to kind of check up. And at the 1,000 last year, it had rained, so there was no dust, and it was just perfect racing conditions, and that was one of the best parts of the course, I think, was right there.
Now we asked Luke about changes, you know, with the changing of the guard with Roger. Anything you could bring up, anything you'd like to share out there?
Well, I think I want to first thank Sal for 40 years of hard work and made a great platform for our family and other families and teams. And I think Roger's going to take the torch and make it even a bigger flame. And I think with qualifying, I think that's absolutely necessary, fantastic. Mixing the class 1s and the trophy trucks, that's a great change. And then a lot of the safety things that he's doing with the bikes, I think he's got a great idea on what to make the sport safer and bring more people. But yeah, Roger's going to do great. I just know it.
Well, it's nice to have both of you on the show, and we're going to thank you very much, Dan, Luke, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be joined live with Roger Norman and Ivan Stewart. So stick around after this commercial.